Hey, how's it going? Today I'm just going to be basically, I've had a lot of questions about fake autographs and, especially when you're writing through the mail. So sending fan mail and requesting an autograph from a celebrity or athlete or whoever. And a lot of times you get an actual reply. They'll send you an autograph, maybe like do a handwritten letter, something like that. But a lot of the times also you get kind of these fake responses, and there's like a whole bunch of them, like everything you can imagine, from an auto pen to a secretary signing to just basically a preprint, which is like a photocopy. I mean, there's all kinds of stuff out there. So I wanted to go over this box right here at my side, which has all of the auto pens and all the kind of fake autographs that I've collected over the years that people have sent me. So first, I'm going to start off with some that I wrote to Arnold Schwarzenegger when he was still governor of California, and basically wrote him some fan mail. I was working for the state at the time, and I would actually like run legislation down to his office. So I got to see him like do some speeches outside of his office, and like I got to go into his office and see the portrait, but his Andy Warhol portraits of him and his wife Maria. And I'm still like a big Arnold fan to this day. But even back then, definitely a big fan. So I wrote him some letters, and I got this kind of the form response back. So that probably his secretary. I remember his secretary at the time was named Marilyn. I would talk to her at her desk. So they would send me these kind of boilerplate responses. I mean, they would definitely like responded to what I had written, but even though it's on Arnold Schwarzenegger's letterhead and it has like a facsimile photo here, so just like his photocopied signature, like not like the real thing. But he would also send along with that like an 8x10 photo as well. So you would get this in the mail at the time, and this is also just basically like printed out with a signature already on it. So while I do have hand signed autographs because I did meet him in person and I got some stuff signed. This is an example of what is called a preprint. So it's basically just printed off with a signature on it already. So that was a pretty cool one. And similarly, if you had written to his wife, Maria Shriver, well, at the time wife, they are no longer married, but she would kind of send out the same kind of thing. So this is Maria right here. And you can see that she's got basically this printed autograph at the bottom. So let's see, now that I'm looking at it, I mean, it might actually be, so this is actually an auto pen now that I'm actually looking at it closely. So you probably can't tell on the camera, but the ink is a little bit raised. It's clear that this was laid down by like actually live ink. So what an auto pen is basically like, it's just a machine with an armature on it, and you actually stick a real pen in it with actual ink. So it basically goes on a template. You can think of like kind of like a Cricut, how they have an arm that moves around based on a design. Well, instead of just like a pattern or a picture that a Cricut might do, an auto pen would do the design of somebody's signature. So it'll use an actual pen onto a photo or whatever kind of material that you send them, and it'll send out write the signature on there, and it looks pretty good because it is live ink and it doesn't look like it's just like a photocopy. But there's a couple of ways that you can tell what an auto pen is, or that you have an auto pen. Basically, when you write, the lines of your signature will have varying thickness in the lines because that's just, you have different pressure at certain points. Auto pens don't really do that. So you're going to see a uniform thickness in all the lines. And this kind of used to be a tell for some of the older machines, but now, I mean, auto pens have gotten a lot better, but they've been around for probably like 100 years at this point. They've been around for a long time, which means that the technology has had a long time to get perfected as well. But one of the telltale signs, certainly used to be, less so now, is that the ink would kind of pool at the end of the letters. So you would get these like dots at the beginning and end of letters where the pen just wouldn't lift up. So that's kind of some ways you can tell. But the best way to tell if you have an auto pen is just like comparing with other people. So a lot of times people will send fan mail to a certain celebrity. There's going to be a lot of fans out there. A lot of people, like, for example, The Rock. Like, a lot of people are writing fan mail to The Rock, and they're getting responses from him. If you look at all of the responses, they all look identical because they're all done by an auto pen machine, not The Rock himself. So if you just compare and you see that they are exact perfect matches, then yeah, it's probably going to be an auto pen machine. So there's that. All right, so I got a question about from Susanna about Tom Felton if he signs through the mail, and actually I just got him through the mail because I don't know if he still is, or he certainly was like last month on not Broadway, on the West End. So that's UK's version of Broadway. He was doing what 310, 212, a ghost story, something like that. I forget exactly the title of the play, but he was doing a play on the West End, and I wrote him a letter there, I think actually to the stage manager, and I asked the stage manager to get me a playbill, and they didn't come through the playbill, but they gave me a signed piece of paper by Tom and the rest of the cast there. So yeah, you can definitely get Tom Felton, but probably the easiest way to get him is he actually has an autobiography coming up, and if you go to Premier Collectibles, you can pre-order the autobiography, and they have signed copies there. So that's like definitely the easiest way. It's probably like, I don't know, $30 for Tom Felton, who plays Draco Malfoy in Harry Potter, if you're interested in him. All right. Blazes asked if I have any Ozzy Osbourne autographs. I do not. I mean, I've certainly seen his. So he's like one of the people who sell autographs with their when they release a new album, right? So unfortunately, I think the last album, I think those were good, but the one before that, at least, those were all like auto pen. So sometimes certain artists, they can be a little bit hit or miss, unfortunately. So you can get someone who, for one album, they'll, on their official store, they'll sell some CDs that have, signed art cards, or the album themselves is signed. But when you get it in the mail, you find out it's an auto pen or whatever. And the next album that gets released, they actually take the time to sign it themselves. So, I mean, even with like from artist to artist, you can't like just write them off altogether. There's some artists who always come through with authentic stuff, and there's some artists who are a little bit more shady. So I would say Ozzy is more on that shady side, where you don't know if you're going to get something that's authentic or not. And plus, I mean, I think he's definitely a music legend, but I mean, he's not someone that I really listen to in general. So I tend not to collect people who I don't have some kind of personal interest in myself. But yeah, let's see. Okay, Suzanne, I think back to Tom Felton. So I sent him a photo a month ago, so hopefully it will come back soon. Yeah, so I hope you get it. Yeah, if not, I already pre-ordered the book from him on Premier Collectibles. I mean, I've never had any problem with the site, and they've always been pretty upstanding. The only like qualm I have about them is that usually the autographs come on a Premier Collectibles like book plate, which is all like already pre-attached to the book. So if you wanted to like frame it, you would have to cut it out of the book, which is a little bit of a bummer. But I mean, the autographs are always like genuine and good. So yeah, I would go there for my Tom Felton autograph needs. And he does conventions too. So, I mean, it's possible you might get him at a convention or something. All right, here's one from Ewan McGregor. I actually had the opportunity to meet him in person when he was in San Antonio just like 2 months ago. But this one's through the mail, and these ones are secretarial. Yeah, secretarial. So I'm looking at it right now. Actually, I'm going to say, you kind of have to look at it, how it looks in the light to see how the pen is. And yeah, this is not live ink. So this is actually a preprint. My bad. So this is basically just printed off and not hand signed by Ewan. So it's a preprint. Zoe Deschanel. This is from I think this is from Spanky Taylor, or no, Studio Fan Mail. This is where it's from. So there's this agency called Studio Fan Mail. They handle fan mail for a lot of different celebrities, and basically none of the stuff they send out is legit. It's all either a preprint or an auto pen. So basically the celebrity just pays them money to handle their fan mail, and just whenever they get a letter, I presume they probably don't even read them. They just send out like this pre-printed photo, and that's it. So if you find an address for Studio Fan Mail somewhere, and you want to write to the celebrity, if you want to get this photo, I mean, it's a nice looking photo. It's got a nice looking signature. It's just not genuine. So if you want kind of have like a free souvenir or like, kind of piece of memorabilia maybe, then it's cool. But if you're looking for an actual autograph, like something that, in this case, Zoe Deschanel actually touched with her hand and signed, then no. But if you can actually email them too. So if you want to email them, ask for an autograph. Don't have to make it elaborate. You can get like something like this. But most collectors don't even keep these kind of things. Like I have a whole box full of all of my preprints and the fakes and all that kind of stuff. A lot of collectors will just throw them right in the trash. But I think it's good to keep for reference, and it's kind of cool to look back at them and see the kind of stuff that these celebrities send out. Here's one from Kristen Stewart. So this one, let's see. This one's definitely with live ink, signed in looks like silver Sharpie, but it's an auto pen, unfortunately. All right, another example of an auto pen, and even like this one. So that it's not, sometimes it's not just like the signature. This one says peace and love, thanks. So they can have all kinds of different inscriptions on there, not just the signature itself. So like it looks like, somewhat elaborate, and it's got a little message. So you might think, oh, hey, somebody actually signed this, right? But no, it's just a machine that had this preset template in there. So you got to be careful and really look at what you're seeing and do a little bit of research when you're trying to figure out if these signatures are real or not. Johnny said, just posted my Star Wars collection and Back to the Future collection in the last few nights. Oh, cool. Yeah. I mean, I started off autograph collecting with Star Wars, like, I don't know, probably back in at least about 2010, maybe earlier. And Star Wars was my main focus. And it's still probably about half of my collection is Star Wars. And in particular, the original trilogy is like what I'm really into. And that's what I grew up with. And that's what I think is kind of the most magical for me. So, Star Wars original trilogy in particular, got a lot of autographs from that. I'd definitely be interested in checking out what you've got, Johnny. Dove says, do you think it would work to request through the mail using an address for a public on location set like a school? Well, I mean, it depends, like, especially if you really got to have some good timing. Like sometimes an on location set, they're only there for like a day, so you'd have to have really good timing in order to get that. But it can work, like especially for like singers, if they're going to be at an arena singing. It's perfectly cool to like send them a letter a week in advance, and they've been through that kind of thing. They know what to do. They know who to give it off to. But something like a school where they've never had a film production there before, they might get your letter and kind of like scratch their heads as to what to do with it. So, I mean, it's worth a shot. You can send it. I mean, the worst thing that can happen is you're out the 50 cents for a stamp, right? So I would say, send it. But I mean, the chances of something like a school where they're probably only going to be there for a day or two max is probably like not that great. You're best doing sending it to like a production studio where they're going to be kind of like, going to be set up camp for a little bit longer than that. Let's see. Tattoos Included says, I sent for a Robert Downey Jr. autograph about 3 months ago. How long could a reply possibly take? Actually 3 months is, it sounds like a long time for a reply, but it's really not. I mean, certainly a lot of people will reply within 3 months, but I've had responses take years to get to me. So, I mean, it's really kind of about patience. Like you basically got to send it out there and then just like forget about it. Go on to the next request and hopefully it'll come back. I'd say like I don't even like give up any hope until like a year out. Like waiting a year for a response is not like unheard of, and it's definitely, you have a decent chance of getting a response back, I would say still. Now Robert Downey Jr., I mean, he's tough. Like, I mean, just because he charges for autographs, like people who charge for autographs, even when they charge, like Robert Downey Jr., who was like, I don't know, $1,200 or something for his autograph at his last signing. This doesn't necessarily mean that he won't sign for free through the mail. It still happens all the time. So for that reason alone, I wouldn't discount him, but he doesn't have a really good track record with signing through the mail. And I believe he sends out preprints. So, I mean, even if he got something back, the odds of it being something that he actually signed himself would be not good. Yeah, unfortunately. But it's worth a try. I've written to him a number of times, and I mean, I'm still waiting on a response. So, I mean, well, who knows? I haven't given up hope. Stranger things have happened. All right. Johnny says all of his are original trilogy, mostly. Cool. Yeah, so I'm sure there's probably a lot of overlap in our collections, a lot of same people we've got. He has basically all the original actors. Just finished with Alec Guinness and George Lucas. Yeah, George Lucas was like, I only got him just this year, and I've been collecting forever. So, yeah, he was definitely like one of the ones that I really wanted him. I mean, he's the creator of Star Wars, so I felt like I had just this huge hole in my collection not having him in there. But I think one of the things that put me off was that I mean, his signature is just so easy to fake. So I had to like wait till I found somebody who I could trust, like a reputable seller, because he doesn't really sign through the mail. I've tried him through the mail a bunch of times, written to him at a bunch of different addresses, and no luck with George Lucas through the mail. So I had to wait to buy it on the secondary market. And it took me a while to find somebody who had one available for a decent price that I trusted. And I finally found somebody this year. Actually, it was like a partial purchase, partial trade. So yeah, that was cool. I'm glad I finally got George Lucas in my collection. Johnny says that by far my favorite one, I got my blaster signed by Harrison Ford. Cool. Yeah. So I mean, props are pretty cool. Like I don't really have a whole lot of signed props, and I'm still kind of like, if I were to get something like a blaster, I think I'd be pretty torn between actually getting the blaster itself signed or like a plaque. Like, I don't know. They do look cool though, and I mean certainly. If you're spending like top dollar on someone like Harrison Ford, who their base price is $800 for like a trading card, and it just goes up from there. If you get a trading card, there's probably not a whole lot of meat on the bone for resale value after that. But if you get something like a blaster, where you kind of put in like a little bit of a extra initial investment to get like I don't know how much that costs, but probably like $200 or $300, I would imagine, for a really nice replica. You're going to get like a considerably more valuable item when you add the signature to that. So, yeah, I mean, I think it's a good choice to get something like a blaster signed. Yeah, helmets are cool. My buddy Nick West, who has the website Sir Nick Justice, he does like custom helmets. He makes them at home and he hand paints them, does the weatherizing and all kinds of stuff to them. So he's got a number of those signed. He's also an autograph collector, so he'll take them to conventions and get them signed and stuff. But if you want a helmet, I would recommend looking him up. I think his prices are pretty good. It's all handmade by him. So plug for Sir Nick Justice, my buddy. Also another San Antonian. Let's see. I guess we look at some more autographs. I think so. This is George Bush Sr., another auto pen. Like, I think auto pens kind of got popularized through the use of presidents and political figures. And that was really the original use case. Like, just the fact that celebrities and people like that used it to respond to fan mail was kind of like a secondary add-on thing. It wasn't really the original intention of the auto pen machine. Let's see. Maybe I can dig up some cool ones. So, speaking of Harrison Ford, maybe I can find his in here. So, every once in a while, I'd say like 2 times a year, Harrison Ford sends out like an actual genuine hand signed response to fans. And, he probably gets, no doubt he gets thousands of autograph requests every year through the mail. And his secretary just sends back what's basically like a form letter and some pre-printed photos. Here they are. So this is what the form letter and the photos look like. So this is the form letter. It basically says, Harrison Ford gets a lot of requests, doesn't have a whole lot of time, yada, yada. Here is some pictures as kind of a consolation prize, I guess. So, as you can see, I've gotten a number of these already, So, I've sent him a number of letters in vain, and I've gotten these kinds of responses, but I was lucky enough to get an actual response from him. But it took like 30 tries. So, and I tried, probably half as many addresses just to get a response from him. And it finally happened when I wrote to him via venue. So he was doing, I forget what the film was, but he was about to film something. Actually shot an email to the producer of that film, and they sent it to his secretary, and I got it done that way. So that was pretty cool. Oh yeah, Johnny says you met him. This is so I met Arnold Schwarzenegger, and that was like the bucket list item. And the other celebrity I really want to meet, and that's another bucket list item, is Harrison Ford. Yeah, I would love to meet Harrison Ford. I probably would do one of those dinners where he goes to speak and you pay shell out a bunch of cash just to be in attendance. But yeah, ultimately I'd love to do that. I wish I was still in California because that would be a much easier prospect since he does most of his appearances there in California. I'm here in Texas now, but yeah, hopefully I can make it out to something like that and actually meet him. Johnny, I'm curious how you met him. How did that come about? Johnny says top 3 people he met for autographs were Ford, Goldblum, and Keaton. So only one of those that I've actually met is Goldblum. He was at a convention, and it was it was a quick encounter. We were just doing the autograph signing line, and they get you out of those things in and out in under a minute. So I had very little time to talk to him, but I was there with my wife, and she mentioned that she said to him, "Oh, you're really attractive in real life," something along those lines. And he liked that. He said, "Oh, thank you," and that was about the extent of the conversation. So, but I don't know. It was funny. Yeah. So Goldblum, he's a good guy. Would definitely love to meet Ford. I'm sure Michael Keaton would be cool too. He was in San Antonio 2 years ago or so, and that was a really big appearance for him. I think that was his first convention ever. So yeah, it would have been cool to get Keaton, but yeah, I don't know. I didn't actually make it out to that convention. I forget what I had going on. Yeah. So yes. Anyway, let's see who else. So here's another example of an auto pen here. So I think this one's from Transformers, I guess. I think that's what that's from. See, I have this whole envelope full of cards that I think are either fake or auto pen or whatever. So I think this one's just a straight up forgery that I got tricked into buying at one point. Riz Ahmed, this was through the mail. This is a secretary. You can't even like see that really. Let's see if I can get the light on there. Signed in black on the black area, of course. John Boyega wrote to him when he was on Broadway. I believe this is a secretarial as well. Natalie Portman, forgery. This is just a fake autograph. I don't know why I keep the fakes, but I do. They're all segregated from my collection, tucked away nicely. So hopefully when I die, nobody gets confused about them. But whatever. I'll be dead, so what does it matter? A couple more John Boyegas. So yeah, I don't have like a whole lot of auto pens or secretaries or forgeries on trading cards. They're mostly on photographs. All right. Johnny says that he met Ford in San Diego at a restaurant and ran home for the blaster. Oh, that's cool. Yeah. Geez, man. I don't know. If I saw Harrison Ford at a restaurant, I don't know if I would have it in me to like run home and get a blaster and miss him. I would probably just like be in his aura as much as possible. Yeah. Let's see. Matthew, are you getting Macaulay Culkin for his private signing? So I did not order, and Macaulay Culkin is all sold out, from my understanding. So I will not be getting him. I think he was like $250, something like that. It would have been cool. Like, I mean, I really like Home Alone a lot. I mean, I watch it every Christmas for sure. Home Alone 1 and 2 for that matter. So it would have been cool, but I don't know. It wasn't really in the budget at this time. So maybe next time. I'm sure it's not going to be the last time he does a signing. Like, that's kind of how it goes. Like, there's always a lot of big hype after it's the first time. And I mean, these things, they're so lucrative that after the first signing, I mean, like, once you get them for one, there's going to be another. It's like, I don't even worry about it anymore. Like, the industry has gotten so big. There's so much money behind it that, you don't have to worry about missing a signing anymore because there's going to be another opportunity. People can't turn down the money. Even A-list celebrities just cannot turn down the money from an autograph signing because it's so lucrative. So next time, I'll get him next time. But he would have been cool. Johnny says the restaurant was luckily only 5 blocks from my house, and he just sat down. Okay, all right. So I mean, yeah, I guess if that were the case, I probably would have ran like hell and got over there. That's really cool. I don't think I'll ever run into Harrison Ford on the street, but maybe if I get really lucky. That was a pretty lucky coincidence for you. I feel like I've hardly like ever ran into any celebrities like randomly on the street. I've met a bunch of conventions. I think like the only one that I can actually think of is like the guy who plays Flash Gordon. Like, he was going to be appearing at a convention like that same day in San Antonio. I happened to be out at a restaurant. I saw him there. And that was it. I didn't say anything to him or anything, but that was like my only in the wild celebrity encounter, I'm pretty sure. Yeah, I mean, I'm sure if I had more opportunities to go to Disneyland or Disney World, I would have run into a lot more celebrities. I know a lot of encounters happen there. Okay. Matthew says, look at Natalie Portman, Sarah Michelle Gellar, and Robert Downey Jr. They've always been tough. Yeah. Natalie Portman, super tough. Yeah, and I guess you're just talking about signings in general, but yeah, so they've all historically been super tough and like refuse to do a private signing. But yeah, I mean, now the floodgates are open for them. They've agreed to do them. Not only does Natalie Portman, she did the private signing with Star Wars Autograph Universe, and she agreed to sign Star Wars items, which was always like, the kind of big question, like if she does a signing, is she going to sign Star Wars? Because historically she's refused to sign Star Wars because she just is not happy with that movie and does not really is not proud of that role. So she would not sign Star Wars stuff. But when she actually did the signing, she agreed to sign Star Wars stuff. So I mean, it's amazing what like a little bit of money can do to change people's minds. But yeah, even after that, now like you can get a Natalie Portman autograph for like nothing, because she's done Fables and had like a couple of different releases where she's done signed editions. So you can get a pretty nice looking cut for basically nothing. Like I'm definitely under $100 easy. So since that first signing where she was like at that point ultra exclusive and ultra rare, now she's like super common. So yeah, I mean, I wouldn't worry about like missing out on a signing or anything like that, because there's always going to be another opportunity. And sometimes the price goes up. Sometimes it goes way down, like in Natalie Portman's case. So anyway, thank you guys for watching. I mean, my phone is at like 5% right now, so it's about to die. But definitely appreciate you guys watching, and leave me a comment on some of my videos. If you got questions, you want to talk, you can always send me a message, or head over to the Facebook page, Tales from the Collection over there, or on the website. Just hit me up on Tales from the Collection, go to the contact page, you can shoot me an email. I'm pretty quick at responding. So, all right, thanks guys. See you later. And on to the YouTube and stream. Later.